on driving. We proceeded to come into town. They had already driven ahead of us. And by the time we got up to Vanderbilt Hill, in this section, we were in the fast lane. They were in the slow lane. They came up real fast behind us, cut up in front of us to get into the turning lane at Vanderbilt to turn left. Very abruptly. They wanted to make sure that we knew it was them. I have a video of that.
All right. Anything else that you want to tell me about?
No, that should do it.
All right. And you were saying, Miss McKinley, that you saw that Miss Rodas was the person that threw the cup of ice on your car or on your friend's car?
It's my car, yes. I did witness her get out of Patricia's vehicle and toss the cup of liquid and ice at our vehicle. It splattered all over the windshield.
Were you driving at the time, or was it somebody else driving the car?
My daughter was driving.
All right. Just bear with me for a second, Miss McKinley.
Very good, thank you.
And how are you and Miss Rodas related, Miss McKinley?
She is my grandson's stepmother.
Okay. And that's who the guardianship is about?
My grandson, yes.
Okay. And are you seeking guardianship of your grandson?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
We currently have a case open with Judge Palenberg.
Okay. All right, Miss McKinley, I'm going to issue the order on your behalf, and the reason I'm going to do that is because of the throwing of the ice cup at your car while you were in the car at McDonald's. I think that behavior is inappropriate. I think it's kind of close to reckless endangerment. I also think it might have some criminal mischief issues concerning it. Let me see what you're requesting. I'm going to send this to you. I'll send you an order via email. Can we have your email address, please?
Yes, sir. All lowercase, Alaskan Doll, 99801 at yahoo.com.
All right. And then you checked off that you don't want her to go to your grandson's school. What school is that?
That is also pending. That may be Gastineau.
Oh, he's not in school yet?
No.
All right. I'll leave that open, and then you can, when you find out, you can ask to change the order to include that. All right?
Very good. Thank you.
What's your what kind of car do you have?
A silver 2007 Toyota Avalon.
Do you know the license plate number, ma'am?
It's JCD. Not offhand. I'm sorry.
I'll just call it the Alaska driver's license, Alaska driver's plates.
Yes.
All right. All right. So I'll issue this order once I get off the phone, Miss McKinley. Do you have any questions as to what we're going to be doing?
No, sir. I appreciate your paying attention to this petition. Thank you very much.
All right, and this is going to be an order that'll continue all the way up until May 26, 2021. Okay?
Very good.
All right, let's go off record with Miss McKinley. Do I have Nicholas Brohost on the line?
This is his Trisha Bullhorse.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
This is Trisha Bullhorse. My husband's at work. Nicholas is at work.
Okay, so Miss Bullhorse, you're here, and your husband's not on the line. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and Miss Hanson, are you on the phone, ma'am?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you fine. Miss Bullhorse, you're coming in a little bit garbled. If you're on a speakerphone, maybe if you could get off the speakerphone, that might make it clearer.
I apologize.
No reason to apologize. Or just come closer to the phone so I can hear you.
Can you hear
so
me
I've got
better
Miss
now?
Yeah, that sounds a little bit better. Miss Bullhorse is here in case number 2120 CI, Trisha Bullhorse versus Jane Hanson. And then, Miss Bullhorse, do you still want to have the restraining order?
Yes, sir.
And are you prepared to go forward?
Yes, sir.
All right. And Miss Hanson, are you ready to go forward?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right. So, Miss Bullhorse, would you mind standing and raising your right hand so I can swear you in, please?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. And Miss Bullhorse, your full name is Trisha Bullhorse, with Bullhorse being spelled Bollhorst?
Yes, sir.
All right. Can I get an email address from you, Miss Bullhorse?
Sure. It is all lowercase. TMH2323 at email.vccs.edu.
All right. And Miss Bullhorse, you're seeking a restraining order. Do you want to tell me why?
Yes, sir. So my husband and I moved into 9502 with our son in August. We bought the condo. Prior to even moving in, excuse me, my son and I, who at the time was about 6 months old, were in our residence cleaning the condo, getting ready to move in. Miss Hanson, I had the door partially opened because it was an August day and warm. Miss Hanson came up to the door, didn't knock, didn't say she was coming in, or she just walked in our residence. She then proceeded to say, "We have some things we need to discuss or talk about." Didn't introduce herself. I so gathered from her talking that she lives next door. I then introduced myself and said, my name's Trisha. This is my son, Samuel. My husband's Nick. He's at work. She had some qualms with the previous tenants that lived at this residence. I expressed to her that my husband and I are very quiet, that we would not be loud, we would be respectful. I also told her that if she ever needed anything, we were there. We wanted to be good neighbors. Even though it was abrupt and her entering was not, I didn't, welcome her in, I let it go. We've had several incidences since then where she has, I would call it harassment, raising her voice at myself, my husband, with our son present, who is now a year and 3 months old. She has said demeaning terms such as, she's called us millennials, which we're not, but, and it's gotten to the point, Your Honor, where I am uncomfortable to go outside. I'm waiting for the next moment where she will say something that is insulting, unnecessary. We have an HOA, and there's been some qualms that she's had, but there are ways to go about doing it rather than harassing. and making your neighbors so uncomfortable. So those are I didn't give every instance, but that's the broad overview.
And what were the statements that you were referring to, and what was being said, and when was it said?
I don't know the exact dates. I apologize. Trying to think. This was shortly after the virus had kind of started and everything closed down in Juneau. I work at the hospital. I'm a nurse. We had a 7-week-old puppy that we were fostering. I was outside with our dogs, the puppy and their other dog, and my son to let them use the bathroom. And the puppy ran up to Mrs. Hansen's doorstep. I did not immediately go to grab the puppy because I had worked with positive patients that had the virus. So I was trying to, as Ms. Hansen was coming out, I was trying to keep that space. She immediately told me that I needed to have my dogs on a leash, and she didn't want to have to call the animal control. And I expressed to her, I said, look, it's not that I was trying to not get my dog. I just wanted to keep that distance. I've been exposed to positive patients. And again, I had my son outside with me. And she said, and you're around your son. And I can't remember exactly what she said, but she raised her voice and she said, and you're around your son as if to shame me for being around my son. Another incident, my husband, this was the final straw before we got the restraining order. My husband was outside washing our boat, and he also at that point, with the dog incident, she called me a millennial. And I expressed to her, I said, look, there are ways to go about doing this, because she was upset that our dog had pooped in her yard. And I said, look, I'm sorry. There are ways to go about doing this. This is not the way. Then my husband was out washing our boat with our son. I was not there for this incident. This is all from my husband. But he said that the HOA is not paying to go wash your boat. He raised her voice, and then...
I'm sorry, I'm hearing the crosstalk. Ms. Hansen, did you say something?
You're saying, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, that's fine, Ms. Hansen. I'm going to let Ms. Bolhorst go ahead and speak. Go ahead, Ms. Bolhorst.
And again, this is from my husband. He is at work. If not, he's flying today. If not, he would have been on the phone, so I apologize. But what he said that she said at that point was, fucking, excuse my language, if I'm allowed to say an explicit. Your Honor.
I'm not, you need to testify I'm not going to tell you how to testify, Ms. Bolhorst.
Okay. Said, fucking millennial, and walked away after raising her voice. And there was another, prior to that morning, my husband was outside with a friend of ours that was at the garage, and I don't know at that point exactly what she said, but she said something to the extent that made our friend say, geez, I am so sorry that you have to put up with this.
So, Ms. Bolhorst, you're telling me about an incident that you don't know anything about other than your friend's comment that you have to put up with this.
I don't remember exactly what was said, and I wasn't there for it, so I don't want to, say something that didn't, Yeah,
you can see why that's a hard time, me making a finding based on that, can't you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Anything else that you want to say, Ms. Bolhorst?
No, sir.
All right. Ms. Hansen, do you have any questions of Ms. Bolhorst, or do you just want to testify?
Yeah, in her memo to the court says that she was...
Ms. Hansen, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but what I'm asking for is, do you have any questions specifically of Ms. Bolhorst?
Yes, I do.
All right, so please ask the questions rather than giving me a preamble.
Well, I think it's a little bit important because she says in here that it's kind of limited of what she said, so I wanted to find out what she was exposed to, positive cases in her her letter to the court.
Why don't you ask a question, Ms. Hanson?
Is it a coronavirus, or did she get it exposed at the hospital?
Am I allowed to answer, Your Honor?
Yes.
So it's positive cases of coronavirus at the hospital.
Okay, and what was the other question I had? And when did I go into your residence? What date? Supposedly go into your residence.
So I don't remember the exact date. We signed our papers, I believe it was August 14th, and I want to say it was probably the next day or the day after, so the 15th or the 16th of August.
Okay, Your Honor. Those are the only questions I have for her.
All right. Ms. Bohorst, do you have any other witnesses that you want to call?
No, sir.
All right. Ms. Hanson?
I do want to defend myself, Your Honor.
Yes, Ms. Hanson, I'm going to give you that opportunity right now.
Okay. So go ahead. And I do have a witness with me as well.
All right. What do you want to do, Ms. Hanson? Do you want to call your witness first, or do you just want to testify first?
I'll just go ahead and testify first.
All right. You want to stand and raise your right hand? Let me know when you're doing that, and I'll swear you in.
I'm doing that right now, sir.
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely, sir.
And, ma'am, your full name is Jane Hanson, is that correct?
Yeah, Jane Arlene Hanson.
And Hanson is spelled Hansen, is that right?
That's correct, sir.
Can I have an email address from you, Ms. Hanson?
Yeah, Jane _Hanson 56@hotmail.com.
Okay. All right. So, Ms. Hanson, do you want to testify?
Yes, I do. I want to tell you that it's very disturbing that we are in court today because of the accusations that the Ballhurst has accused me of has been twisted. They lied about the incidents that happened. They put things, well, she testified of things that she never, ever told me about, which is very disturbing to me that she wants, to help me, anything that I need and all that stuff when I went to her house. So I went to her house almost a year ago, and she had the door wide open, and so I knocked on the door, and I said, "Hi, I'm your neighbor, Jane." And so she said, "Oh, hi there." She said, "Come on in." So I stepped into the doorway and didn't go any further, and I told her that I had a hard time hearing. So I said, I kind of wanted to, let her know about the parking because I have a huge tree in front of my condo, and the people before would constantly block me so that I couldn't get into my parking spot. And I told her, I said, I know this is really inconvenient for all of us, but really need to park, if possible. There's a little concrete header in front of the condo, and the lady that was there when I moved in, she was very respectful and kept her car over to the right of that, or the edge to the right towards the garages, and so that I was able to get in and out. And Tricia, most of the time, wasn't, the person that was not giving me room to get into my parking spot. it was mostly her husband. Her husband's really been the big problem here, majority of everything. And so I said, I just want, because I didn't want to have to keep going back and going, hey, you're parking over the, the area where I can't get in. And he's got a big Ford truck, and he would he would come in an angle, and his rear end would be in my pathway to get into my parking spot. So, I just said, and then I looked up at the stairs, and I said, because these condos were built in the 70s, and I got to take a drink of water. They were built in the 70s, and the lady had taken the padding off of the stairs, and then she had no doors in the storage area underneath the stairs. So anytime people would, heavily go up and down the stairs, the noise would really echo into my condo. So I said, and I thought, oh, well, this is probably a good time to say, I just want to let you know, because these places have been built in the 70s, that that the noise, when you heavily come down the stairs, it echoes into the other homes. And so I said, welcome to the neighborhood, and we'll see you around. And then so when I mentioned about the guys that were there, I said they would come in late at night, and about 11 o'clock at night they would pound up and down the stairs. And then she turned around and said, well, we go to bed early, and then we're up early. And I was really excited because that was the routine that I had too. So after I spoke with Tricia, and I didn't really see the baby because it was further in the house, and I don't even remember what name she told me the baby's name was. And I went home and I called my friend down in California that I've known since I was 12 years of age. And I told her that I was so excited because, now I got people living next to me that are on the same routine as me, and they're not going to be up late, and they're not going to be making a whole bunch of noise, and it went well. And it went well until the day that probably before August or September, I had gone out to and then I also let her know that most of the time I park in my garage because the garage is separated from the condos. I have all this evidence here, sir, and I can't even show you pictures or anything, which is very, heartbreaking because I have, a lot of documents that I want to show you and pictures of the condo and everything. So, where was I? Oh, so then I had a noon appointment. And I went outside, and their boat was blocking half of my garage, and my car was in the garage. And I quickly stopped in my tracks, and I had 5 minutes to get to my appointment. And I stopped in my tracks, and I'm looking around the property to see if the husband's truck's there, and the husband's truck is not there. And so I went around the corner to see if his truck was parked on the last unit, which is 4 units in a building. His truck wasn't there. Then I ran to her front door, knocked on the door, and I said, I've got an appointment in 5 minutes, and your husband's blocking my garage with the boat. And so she walked in and said, I'll call my husband. And then when she said, I'll call my husband, then I went to go start my car, open the garage door, get ready to back my car out. And so that I saw the boat had wheels on it. So I turned around and got the hitch and kind of moved the front end of the boat. And I thought, well, Jane, if you can, get that moving a little bit. And then I used my weight and pushed the front end enough to where I could get my car out of the garage. And so then she came out, and she started yelling at me that I was rude. And I said, rude? Why am I rude? And I go, and you don't think that this is rude, that you guys are blocking my garage? And she goes, you're rude. And so I said, and then her car, she came in and parked her car, which, I don't know who parked it. I would suspect the husband maybe might have done it. But he was way into my entrance of my parking spot in front of my condo, and I walked over there to the car, and I pointed at the car, and I said, "You talking about rude?" I said, "Look at this. This is also rude. You are parking and blocking my entrance to my driveway." And I said, "I've got, I want my car to offload anything. I want an ambulance to be coming in here because I'm a senior citizen, sir." And I said, "My daughter owns a truck. I want her to be able to bring me whatever she's going to bring me. You guys are blocking me, from using my garage and my parking space." And so, so we had that incident, and I just stopped talking to her because she tried to change it around on me that, I was the problem and not them. And so, I had, I kept everything quiet, and then in the wintertime, her husband had parked the truck.
Hold on, Miss Hanson. Yes, Miss Bullhorse.
May I interject and tell my part on that, or when would be a good time to do that?
I didn't hear the first part of your statement.
May I interject and say my side of the story?
Well, ma'am, you have a chance for a rebuttal because you have the burden of proof. So
okay.
It would be inappropriate for you to interject unless you had an objection. But I don't hear one, so I'm going to allow Ms. Hanson to continue. You have a chance to ask Ms. Hanson questions, too. You may not want to. You may just want to testify. But I'm going to give you both a chance to ask questions and a chance to make another statement, all right?
Okay.
Ms. Hanson, I'm sorry for the interruption. Please continue.
Okay, so in the wintertime, the red big Ford truck would, come in at an angle and block my entranceway. And also he would park his camper, his boat, and his truck hitched together. Now, over the wintertime, when it was parked there for weeks at a time, I had to struggle getting my little Toyota out of my garage. And when we got some heavy snow, I couldn't, the snow plowers didn't do the area in front of mostly my garage very well. And so when I would, because I have a job that I work around kids, and I am very time sensitive to be there exactly the time I'm supposed to work, and I don't need for these people to be blocking me and then me lose my day's worth of pay because of their inconsideration and selfishness on their part. And so also when I tried to get my car out and go I was in such deep snow that I almost couldn't get moving forward, and I had to walk back and forth and do all this other stuff. And then when I went to go cross and close my garage, I fell on the ground, and I laid there for about 5 minutes because it knocked the air out of my chest. And so, I constantly would go to the association and complain to them about the parking and their boat and that blocked my garage, and I couldn't get into it. So she states in this letter that I touched her boat without her permission. Well, they blocked my garage, and really this whole thing is about them blocking my garage, and that happened about 4 times in almost the last year that they have had their truck and boat or different things blocking to where I wouldn't be able to get my car out. And that's the only time I address to them is that you cannot be parking in front of my garage. And they're making it out to something that is really not. And so I constantly went to the association because they don't give me any phone numbers. And all they would say was that they were only supposed to have 2 vehicles. There's not supposed to be any boats on the property, and they're supposed to put their boat in their garage. And I said, well, they don't have anything but stuff in their garage. They don't have no car, no nothing. So we get the garage for one parking spot, and then we get one spot in front of us, and we're not supposed to double park in front of our condo. And that's happened quite a few times with Tricia and Nick, that they double park. In fact, last Friday, they had double parked, and my daughter came in to drop something off, and the kids off, and he almost hit somebody going in between their two cars. And so then they got a dog, a couple dogs, and I knew that was going to go bad, because then what she was doing was she was letting the dog out to roam freely and poop everywhere. And so I told her that her dogs rushed at me. Her big dog rushed at me. Her little dog also touched me. And I told her that she needed to have the dogs on a leash. And the white dog, I never see it with a collar, and I never see it on a leash. And it's pooping everywhere. And my grandchildren want to go, or my grandson wants to go outside. And I don't want him to go outside because of them not cleaning up their poop. And I think they have recently cleaned up poop. And so what happened was that she turned around when I talked to her about, the problem was that she got mad at me, and I told her, I said, you know what, you should be getting mad at your husband, not me. I wasn't the one that blocked my garage with the boat, and that he parks over, into my area where I go to my condo, and I have pictures of all of that, Your Honor. And I have pictures of her dog pooping in my yard. I have pictures of the vehicles, how they were parked by the garage. This has been, I've only talked to him maybe a couple times, and I've talked to her about maybe 3 times. So it's not like every time I go out. She goes, every time I come out, you're always, on me. And it's like, no, I'm not. And I said, oh,
I'm sorry.
Brown now.
Hold on. Miss Bohars, were you just speaking?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, Miss Hanson, continue. I thought I heard somebody's different voice there. Go ahead, Miss Hanson.
I know, but then it kind of takes me off of my train of thought, Your Honor. So anyway, in April 2nd, that was like a week or 2 prior to April 2nd. She says that, she goes, I can't even come out of my home without you, saying something to me. And I said, what are you talking about? I go, I don't do that to you. I go, there's many a times where you and your husbands come out, and I have never said a word to you. And I said, but, when their dogs are out loose, I tell them that they need to be on a leash. And so I came out to go to work on April 2nd, and right at my doorstop, I got to back up a little bit. When they would come out with their dog, they would stand in my parking spot in front of my condo, and I wish I could show you a picture of how it looks so that you understand, Your Honor, what I'm having to deal with this big tree in front of my place. And so they stand in the middle of my driveway and let their dogs poop right around my doorway and grass area right next to my door. And so they come out there constantly. And here's the fear about that too, is that dogs are very territorial. And, if I come out and I'm in their territory because they think that it's okay for them to poop and pee there, then that could be a threat to me and anybody in my home, because that's where they're used to going to pee and poop.
Miss Hanson, please skip the discussion about the dog and continue.
Okay. So, I needed to go into the next step. And then I came out, and her and her son were next to my doorway after she said that she was scared of me, and then a week later she's right outside my door. And so I said to her, you need to have your dogs on a leash. And she goes, well, the bylaws say that I don't have to have the dogs on a leash. And I said, you know what, it's a city and borough ordinance that you have to have your dogs on a leash, and you have to clean up the poop. And so then the little dog came up and touched me, and then she, right at that time, turned around and told me that the reason why she's not coming up to get the dog is because she's been exposed to the coronavirus. And so I said, you are holding your baby when you've been exposed? And she looked at me, like deer with the headlights, and I said, you're really holding your baby when you've been exposed. And so then she wasn't entering into her house. She was taking the dog to go to the bathroom. So then when I went to work and I came back, I had to change my clothes because the dog had touched me, and they aren't sure about the animal, so I had to come in and change my clothes. So then the next morning, the very same thing happened. She's right outside my door 3 days in a row. And so I called the dog pound. I have evidence that I called the dog pound on the 3rd, and they have it in their report that, she told me that she was exposed to the coronavirus, and I filed a dog report, so I have that as evidence as well. And then I called the hospital supervisor to let them know that, she had told me that she had, had the coronavirus, and she was still working. And so I have a letter from the supervisor that I brought to show you that none of the nurses have been exposed to the coronavirus. And so I got that information. And I have not been harassing them, Your Honor. The bylaws do say that the dog is supposed to be on the leash and they're supposed to pick up their dog poop. What really bothered me a lot was that that there was a woman about 70 years old that was out in the grass area right next to my place and picking up the poop. So moving forward, she has been coming by my condo. She goes out her back door and then she comes by my front door, and I've been catching her since this order went into effect for somebody that's really afraid, and her coming within inches of my front door. And so if I would have come out and we would have connected eyes, I would have gone to jail because I looked at her according to your order. And so I decided to call the police department and get a report the incident because of that she's done this quite a few times in the last 2 weeks. And, Your Honor, I am not harassing them. They're blocking my driveway. They're blocking my garage. They are very noisy in their condo, but I have never said nothing to them about it. And one day when I was talking, or she had stopped somebody that was coming in the condo very fast, and I said, then she turned and looked at me and she said, oh, I let them know that they were speeding in the condo. And I said, well, thank you, because those people constantly come in here all the time really fast. And so I said, hey, if I'm loud in my condo, let me know, because I can sometimes have my TV, kind of loud. And she said, I never hear you. And I looked at her and I said, well, I try to be respectful and quiet so that I'm not making a bunch of noise to travel over to your condo. And she just kind of looked at me like really surprised that I even said that. And I do, Your Honor, I do. I don't slam my front door. I don't bang my kitchen cabinets. I hear her banging her kitchen cabinets all the time. She's been falsely accusing me, and everything in this letter that she wrote to the court.
Ms. Hanson, I'm asking for factual information.
Okay.
So I think you kind of. Please listen to me. I think you're kind of repeating yourself. So,
well, these are different incidents.
I understand.
I have the bylaws.
That's enough,
here.
Ms. Hanson. Ms. Hanson, I think I am going to cut you off.
Okay.
Miss Bullhorse, what questions do you have of Ms. Hanson?
I don't have any questions, but I do have, I would like to testify a few things in response to her testimony.
Certainly. Go ahead. You're still under oath, Ms. Bullhorst.
Yes, sir. So regarding the incidents with the boat, without getting into all of the details, my son is, at that point, was about 8 months old. He wasn't sleeping, so I had gotten up after a long night of not sleeping. I didn't have shoes on or a coat, so when I realized my husband wasn't outside, I told her, and after I called and he didn't answer, I hollered out the door. I said, I'm going to come move it. Give me just a moment. I don't know if she didn't hear me at that point. I also had my son, who wasn't walking yet, so I laid him down so he was going to be safe, threw on a jacket, got my shoes. By the time I got out and could see her, she was moving the boat, and my response to her was, I was coming out to move that and to help you. I said, what are you doing? And as far as the boat being parked in front of her garage, we do occasionally wash our boat. We are, aside from the incidents that happened, that particular one incident, we are with the boat and vehicle when it is out there. Regarding the double parking in front of our condo, Ms. Hanson is correct as far as last Friday. We had a friend come over, and they were only supposed to be here for a few minutes, so they parked immediately behind our vehicle, and that was their son that ran in between the vehicles. Aside from that, we have not, the truck camper has either been in the bed of the truck or on the side of Unit 4. The boat being parked across in the overflow parking, and it couldn't have been there, and I will admit that. That has nothing to do with her parking spots. In the winter, we didn't even have the boat we didn't take the boat out in the winter, so it was never blocking her parking spot or her garage in the winter. So I'm sorry to hear that she fell, but we had nothing to do with blocking of that. There was one other thing I wanted to state. Regarding my work and being at the hospital, I can't give names because of HIPAA, but I have been exposed to positive patients. I've taken care of patients. I took every precaution that I was supposed to. So, I mean, I would be lying if I told you that I didn't, because that would be untrue. I work on critical care. We were the unit that got all of the COVID patients. So and I would have no reason to lie about that. I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for 9 years now. I wish I was joking. I wish I didn't have to be exposed to the patients, and believe me, it's not that I want to come around you, and that's why I did not immediately go up to you. I think that's it, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Hanson?
I have a letter from the head nurse saying that she was not exposed to the virus.
Yeah, Ms. Hanson, I'm not going to accept that letter unless you have the person who wrote it here to testify, and I'm not quite sure how important it is anyway. I pretty much heard all the information
I do have a witness, Your Honor. I do have a witness.
I don't think that witness is necessary, Miss Hanson.
Well,
so I'm ready to rule on this. Looking at this, the situation changes once somebody comes in for a probable cause hearing. That pretty much means that person has to make a showing. In other words, it's a one-sided description about what occurred. It's the lowest evidentiary standard for civil matters, and it's just would a reasonable person believe that there's a violation of a domestic violence crime or an indication of stalking. In this case, Ms. Bolhorst and her husband are seeking a stalking order. And there has to be a demonstration that there's at least 2 incidents that occurred that places a person in fear of physical harm. And again, that it's just a showing. Once we come to this stage of the hearings, you have to prove your case by a preponderance of the evidence. that means more likely than not that something occurred. And Ms. Bolhurst has the burden of proving her case. Under these circumstances, Judge Swanson, who issued the order, indicated that primarily the reason that she's issuing the order is based on the assertion that Ms. Hansen entered Ms. Bolhurst's unit without permission. Now, the only thing I have on the record at this time is that Ms. Bolhurst presented that information to me as well, but Ms. Hansen presented evidence to the contrary that indicated that she stopped by the condo and knocked on the door, and Ms. Bolhurst asked her to come in. I don't know whether that's true or not, but there's a contrary evidence to what Ms. Bolhurst said, and I can't determine who's more accurate as to what occurred. Once I'm in that situation where I can't determine who's more accurate, I have to make a decision. And in this particular instance, I don't think there's enough evidence to support issuing a stalking order. It's apparent to me that both parties are a little bit upset with the way things are going as far as parking their cars are concerned, and whether or not a dog is being properly controlled, and where the dog is actually going to the bathroom. That's not something that's before me. That's not something that I need to adjudicate at this time, and so I'm not. So at that instance, I still don't think that there's a demonstration that Ms. Hansen created a situation that somebody would consider stalking. Again, the issue about the boat and the vehicles, that's unfortunate, but again, that's not in front of me. That's something that needs to be addressed, I guess, with the condominium association, and I don't know how successful that's going to be.
Nothing.
But it's certainly not an issue that is considered stalking. Now, I looked at Judge Swanson's order, and she issued an order that said parties live next to each other, so no communication, avoid speaking, gesturing, or even looking at each other. Are the parties willing to agree that they'll follow that statement? And I can put that in the denial order that the parties reached an agreement where they're not going to communicate with each other and they're not going to cause gestures or looking at each other. Ms. Bolhurst, would you like that as part of the denial order?
Yes, sir, please.
And Ms. Hansen, would that be okay with you if I put that in there?
I would accept everything but the looking, because we're within feet of each other's doorway, and I have to look her way and my way to get out and leave.
How about I say staring?
Staring would be fine.
Okay? Is that okay with you, Ms. Bolhurst?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So this is what I'm going to do. I'll issue denial orders for all three cases. That's case number 2120, 121, and 122. But in the denial order for Ms. Bolhurst, I'll indicate that the parties have reached an agreement where they've agreed that they're not going to communicate with each other, avoid speaking and gesturing, and even staring at each other. Okay?
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Ms. Bolhurst, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
Ms. Hansen, do you have any questions?
No, I do not, Your Honor.
Okay, so I'm going to get, once I get through these hearings, I'll start issuing these orders, and we'll email these to you both, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, if there's nothing further, then let's go off record.
Okay. Hang on.
And then you both may hang up.
Okay.
Do I have anybody else on the phone right now? And people may be on mute, so if they could take their name on mute. Let me just go through the cases here. Case number 2113 CI, John Valvalis versus John Valvalis. I haven't heard anything, so let's go off record with them. I've got case number 20115 CI, Vivian Williams versus Charles O'Halloran. Is Miss Williams on the phone? And is Mr. O'Halloran on the phone? Okay. Miss Smith, are you here from Aware? Okay, I guess Miss Smith's not on the phone. I've got case number 211. Hello?
Pardon me, Judge. I am on the phone. I had to click mute. I am on the phone.
Oh, Miss Smith?
Yes.
And Miss Smith, who are you here for?
The one you just called?
Oh, Williams versus O'Halloran?
Correct. And also 117, 118.
Okay, let me see what she was for that. And and we already took care of that one.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
And 117, is it just 117 or 118 too?
One of them, I have on my records 117, 118.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got, there was a case, 2117, which concerned Miss Leitner and Mr. Schultz. But that was made an error, and it's actually case number 2116.
I see. All right. Thanks. I'll make that change.
All right. So, let me just finish up here. Is Miss Leitner here? And is Mr. Schultz on the phone? And that's case 2116 CI. So hello? We'll go off record on Leitner versus Schultz. I've got case number 2125 CI. That concerns Vanessa Cropley and Jerry Cropley. Are they on the phone? All right. We'll go off record for that. And then I have case number 2124 CI, Vivian Williams versus Jerry Cropley. Anybody on the phone for that? Okay. Is there anybody on the phone whose name I have not mentioned? Madam Clerk, do you have any indication that anybody else is on the phone?
I have two people. I believe one is the Aware advocate, but it does leave there two numbers.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand you.
I said I have two numbers. I believe one of them is the Aware advocate, but there is another number on here that I don't see.